Welcome to today's morning report on Tuesday the 1st of September with me, Richard Perry, market analyst at Handtech Markets. It is PMI day, and the Chinese manufacturing PMI disappointment has basically impacted on sentiment across the board, really. We had weakness on Wall Street overnight, but that weakness has accelerated as signs that China continues to slow down, both official and the private PMIs out of China, both deteriorating. The Caixin, which is the private PMI, coming in at the final reading of 47.3, which just continues to show that's 6-year lows on that reading, and it just continues to show how weak China has become in terms of outlook at the moment, and certainly that is impacting on sentiment across the board. Risk appetite is taking a big hit today. Safe haven trades, safe haven flows are benefiting on the back of that. The dollar is under big pressure as that sort of again weighs on the potential for a rate hike. Well, that's the perception of that data for the States anyway, and that is certainly benefiting the euro, for example. That's unwinding or continuing to unwind that carry trade that it had been in place. Safe havens across the board: gold, yen, US Treasury yields sharply lower. Equity markets are also under big pressure today, down strongly on the FTSE, DAX and CAC in Europe. So big movements we're seeing across the board. Let me just show you first of all the dollar. Sharply lower on that dollar. You can see that we had a big bounce last week, but that now seems to have run out of steam, rolling over. Big change in sentiment there. Let me show you the oil price. Massive jump in oil price. I mean, I haven't done the data myself, but CNBC were talking about the fact that this is the biggest 3-day rebound in a quarter of a century on WTI, on oil. So a massive rebound, but that's slightly lower today as that move starts to unwind a little bit. Actually down almost 4%. I say a little bit, down 4% on WTI. That gives you an idea of how much the move had gone. It was around about 29%. Excuse me, around about 29% it had been so in the last 3 days. So massive move, but starting to unwind a little bit. Interesting that we're seeing that. And let me just show you Treasury yields as well. Just a little bit lower, actually, not too badly, but certainly safe havens are benefiting on the back of this sentiment change today. In terms of what we've got to look forward to today, as I said, it is PMI day. We're getting the PMIs coming out. The Eurozone PMIs have been, generally speaking, disappointing. Pretty much Spain, Italy, France, all lower on those PMI data. Only really Germany that's shown any real chink of light. And the Eurozone the Eurozone data that came out slightly lower than expected as well, at 52.3. We've got the UK data that comes out at 9:30. Expected to improve very slightly to 52.0, so pretty much in line with where we've been for the last few months on that reading. And then you've got the ISM data for the States at 3 o'clock. Now that is expected to come in at 52.6. And that is slightly down from last month. So again, both those economies still fairly much okay in terms of the manufacturing PMIs, but not really making too much headway. The only other bit of data we've got at 1:30 today is the Canadian GDP data. It's expected to come in flat on the quarter. So let me show you my chart of the day, really, which is the dollar CAD. Now, as I said, that oil price has shown a significant rally in recent days, and that had started to filter through to the CAD. Actually, that CAD pulling that CAD lower, but you're still in this uptrend, and you're back to the 21-day moving average. So this is a bit of a crossroads, but what we've seen is the CAD weakening again overnight. So be very interesting to see if that weakness in oil price continues. Maybe that would sort of maintain this little uptrend, because there is certainly a correlation, a positive correlation between oil and the CAD. So if the oil price starts to fall away or continues to fall away as it has done this morning, then we could see the CAD under pressure again. But look at these momentum indicators. We've got the RSI, which is negatively or bearishly diverging. We've got the MACD lines, which are certainly not agreeing with that move to new high ground that we saw last week. So it just suggests that there is pressure being put on this uptrend, and also that support of that 21-day moving average. So it could be that if this little correction in oil is a near-term move, then and the rebound continues ultimately, then we could see this uptrend under pressure. Now, this is the hourly chart. We've obviously seen a big move starting to sort of move to the upside. Sorry, I've just forgot to say, this is a bearish outside day on the candlestick. I mean, almost you could argue a bearish key one day reversal, but I don't like to call bearish key one day reversals unless they came at the high, and that wasn't quite at the high. We saw the resistance coming at 33.25 yesterday. The absolute high was 33.50 area, so it's not actually at the high. So I'm not calling that a bearish key one day reversal, but a bearish outside day is obviously as in the name, a bearish or negative day, negative session, and we've seen that move unwind to a certain extent today, but still I think we're seeing the pressure could well be rolling over on these moving averages. Momentum indicators sort of middle of the road really on the hourly chart, nothing too significant either way, fairly much range bound on this RSI in the past week or so. So we're not seeing too much selling pressure there on that side, but if you start to see this sort of rally starting to peter out, you've got the initial resistance that comes in around sort of this 32 figure up towards 32.30 is that initial resistance, and that obviously comes in to protect that 33.25 resistance from yesterday's high. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with this RSI as well. It's already unwound back to 50 in this little rebound, so we'll see how this one pans out, but certainly the daily chart is still suggestive of pressure. But obviously the reaction we've had today is a pretty strong reaction to hold on to that uptrend. So at the moment it's pretty much in the balance, I'd say. But the medium-term basis with this sort of deteriorating momentum on both MACD and RSI just gives me a little bit of concern. Trends are still positive. You're still holding on to that uptrend, but it just is beginning to just weigh a little bit. So perhaps not anywhere near as negative, not anywhere near as positive as it has been on the on dollar CAD in recent weeks. So I wish you good luck in your trading. Actually, let me just do that. Can you get an uptrend out of that? Oh, it's all right. It's not great. Not too bad though. So yeah, if you're going to draw an uptrend in as that, then you have actually broken the uptrend as well. So I wish you good luck in your trading today, and I will speak to you again